Hi everyone, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange, and I can't believe it, but I'm back with another book haul. I have a good variety here. I'm going to break it up by genre, so I'm going to start with horror, then thrillers, and science fiction and fantasy. Feel free to jump around as you see fit. I am excited about all these books. I'm going to try not to say that word too much because I used it way too much in my last book haul. All that being said, let's get started. Okay, first I want to show you a book that I got at the end of last year that used up the very last of my $100 book budget, and that was Beneath by Kristi DeMeester. I picked this one up because I had to do an Amazon order, and because I'm probably the last person in the world to pay for Amazon Prime, I needed a little more in the cart in order to get that free shipping. I'd probably save money by getting Amazon Prime because it tends to be how I do a lot of this impulse shopping. But this is a book that I read and reviewed years ago and I've been meaning to get a copy. It went down to a decent price and I just love it. This is one of my favorite horror books by a female author and just one of my favorite horror books, period. And it's about an investigator that goes to a small town where there is a church that does snake handling, and it's just creepy and dark and disturbing in all the ways that I love. So I definitely recommend this one. I have done a review if you want to check it out. It's a couple years old, but hopefully it still stands up. Now, I also got 2 books from a very generous subscriber, so I have to say thank you to you both. I have started to include my Amazon wish list, which is helping me to stay on budget because I'm recording this a few weeks early. This is actually still in February, and I've had a super stressful February because you might not be aware that my daycare plans fell through. The daycare we were supposed to go with said that they no longer had a spot for my son. I had to go back to work and my maternity leave was ending whether or not I wanted it to. And the place we got in was more expensive, and so I either had to work more or find a way to justify my hours and still like make up for the difference of daycare, of paying for filming and all of that, which is why I started my Patreon account. I didn't fully explain it in that video, but I had already was thinking about it, but it ended up coming to fruition, and actually that video got posted because I really needed to find a way to make my daycare plans and work plans fit together and still make this a bit of a side hustle. All that being said, it was super stressful. Thankfully, we found another spot to put him. Again, it was just a little more expensive. But because of that, I wanted to do a lot of book shopping because if you're like me and when you get stressed, you just want to go to the stores and buy books. So right when I was about to do that, these books came in the mail. So thank you for saving my book budget. And these definitely brightened my day on some really stressful ones. The first book I want to show you is The Last Days of Jack Sparks by Jason Arnopp. And this is one about a man who is supposed to be a really unlikable character, and it's a bit of a possession story. And I've heard just nothing but good things about it. It's supposed to be super scary, but also I think a little bit snarky and fun. I got a chance to read his newest book, Ghoster, and I've been meaning to go back to this one. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a book I read in April. I'm again recording this before March, so I don't know if this is going to be chosen for my April book club pick, but regardless, I'm probably going to read it anyway because I plan to read it with Kayla from krakentoagoodbook. I'm going to leave her booktube channel down below. She reads a lot of everything, honestly, but like horror, thrillers, fantasy, etc. So definitely go check her out. I do think she's an underhyped booktuber who definitely deserves more subscribers. She's a lovely person. But regardless, this book actually came from a different subscriber, and that was Lisa from Norway. And thank you for sending me this. I have wanted to read this for years. A lot of people have almost read this book because I've talked about it so much over the years. But somehow I never read it myself. I think the premise sounds amazing. I think it's going to be a favorite. And I just was never able to get my hands on it. So I now have my own beautiful copy, and I am just, going to read this one really soon. So excited for that. The other book that came from a subscriber was I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Iain Reid, and this came from Brandy. Thank you so much for sending this my way. You know I love this book and I've always wanted to buy and own my favorites, and this is the edition I've always wanted. Originally, this was only published in this cover in the States, and I think it's so much nicer than the Canadian cover, no offense. And yeah, I just think it's gorgeous. There's actually a lot of really nice editions of this book out there. there in different international languages. I always get really excited because I follow the author on Twitter and he always posts pictures of these foreign covers. And I get excited because I assume that means that we're getting another book, but it's actually just this book reprinted in like French and German, etc. But regardless, this book I am so excited for. I'm definitely going to be rereading this one if I haven't already by the time I'm filming this. But yeah, thank you so much, Brandy. This again really made my day. Next, I got a book unsolicited from Rebellion Publishing, and that was Beneath the Rising by Premee Mohamed. I was so excited when this showed up because I had just heard about this book maybe a day or two prior, and I wanted to request it for review, but I thought I was too close to the publication date. And then it just showed up, and that totally made my day. And I picked it up and read it right away, which worked really well because I was kind of going through a bit of a reading slump again, just all the stress of life. Unfortunately, it doesn't really make me want to pick up books, which is hard when you have a booktube channel. But this book is just so unique. It's diverse and has a female author, which is something I'm always looking for in horror, you know that. And it's basically about these two best friends that end up creating this clean reactor and possibly awakening some ancient evil. I did a separate review on this one because I had so many thoughts about it. It's just so unique. And I definitely think it needs to get more attention this year. So I don't know if it's been posted yet. I probably am going to post it soon. So stay tuned for that. And please watch it because I have thoughts on this one. Next, I want to talk about an indie horror book that I accepted from the author. I'm really careful when it comes to not saying yes to too many books these days, but this is one that was so unique that I could not pass it up. And I'm going to try to do this justice explaining it because I haven't read it yet. But this is Subkudiyan by Aaron A. Reid, and this is about two best friends that go to investigate an old basement. When they get inside, it seems something is wrong. The basement just seems to go on forever, and they are just figuring out what's happening. There's also a queer aspect to this book because the one boy is in love with his best friend, who is also male, and you know I love queer horror. And on top of that, this book has a really unique setup because, as I understand, each printing of this book is different. So there are different words and sentences and even paragraphs removed or added to different editions of this book. So if you have a copy of this book, your copy will not be the same as mine. And I find that so intriguing. I could see that as being gimmicky, but within a horror book, especially a book where like the basement itself is changing and growing and, you know, it's possibly manipulating the characters already, I think that aspect actually works really well. It kind of gives me like House of Leaves meta vibes, and I'm just really intrigued. So again, haven't read it yet, but I definitely want to and will be reporting back with a review. But yeah, this was just so different, and that's something I'm looking for. I read so much horror that I'm always like, give me something different, give me something I haven't read before, and this is definitely that. All right, now I'm just gonna quickly go through a couple of books from my Nightworms packages. I thought that it was a bit repetitive to go through and talk about every book again, especially for those of you that do watch those videos. So instead, I'm just gonna briefly go over the books that I am personally most excited about after I actually got a chance to read the first few pages, read the backs, and these are the books that are most likely to be on future TBRs. So the first one I want to talk about is The Devils Dreamland by Sara Tantlinger. I haven't read this one yet, but this is a horror poetry collection that is all about H.H. Holmes. I still don't know lots about him, but from what I understand, I can jump right into this collection regardless. I know Brad on Booktube did a really good review, so if I remember, I'm going to link that down below. Definitely go check out his channel. He is a fantastic horror booktuber who does a ton of horror reviews. And yeah, this one just looks, again, different. I don't read a lot of horror poetry, but the stuff I have read, I've liked, so I want to try this out. I'm also super curious about this novella, and that is All the Smoke Rises by Mark Matthews. And this is told in a second-person perspective, so it is you do this, you find this, and at the start of the story, you find a dead body and you have to decide what to do with it. It's technically the second book in a series, but I understand that it reads as a standalone, so I'm going to be jumping in here because I already have this one. But yeah, I'm super intrigued by the premise. Again, just something different, and yeah, this looks good. Next, I want to talk about Oversight by Michael Bailey, and this is a collection of 2 novellas. The first one is about a woman who has always been blindfolded, and with that has the ability to see a life events in reverse. It sounds a bit like Memento. And then the second story is about someone with social anxiety disorder, and I really like horror that brings in that aspect of mental illness. So one that I've not heard of before the Night Wars package, but is definitely intriguing. So I'll give them a try for sure. And I just want to go over 2 thrillers. The first one is Safehouse by Jo Jakeman, and this is one I received unsolicited by Penguin Random House Canada, and it's about a woman named Charlie who has just left jail. She was put in there for being a false alibi, and now she is starting over, so she's moved to a new small town. However, she believes someone is watching her, and then someone that she knows either goes missing, and she just has to figure out what's going on. And I'll be honest, I'm not super excited about this one. This is the same author that wrote, oh, what was that book? The Ex's Revenge. And I got that one unsolicited and didn't really like it. So unfortunately, I'm very likely to DNF this one as well, but I'll give it a try. I will basically try anything that a publisher sends to me. And the other thriller I have to show you actually comes from my husband, who never buys me books, but this Valentine's Day, he came home from work with a tub of peanut butter ice cream, which is my favorite, as well as a book that he picked up. And he said something like, I don't know, it looked really stabby, so I thought you'd like it. And I don't know anything about it, but he definitely knows my genres, so I gave him a lot of credit, and I will give it a try for sure. That is Unspoken by Lisa Jackson, and this is about a woman who gets a photograph in the mail of a girl who is told to be her daughter, but she was told that her daughter died at birth, so now she has to go back to her hometown of Texas to find out what is going on, and things go from there. I don't know much more. I've never read Lisa Jackson before, so I would love to hear from anyone who has read her, what they think, if they have a recommendation of their favorite book by her, all of that. But yeah, kudos to my husband for buying me a book. It was a very special Valentine's Day. He's not the biggest on like gifts, neither of us are, but yeah, books and ice cream is always a win with me. Now let's talk science fiction. Right at the end of 2019, I got to go to a used book sale and got a really good deal on 4 books from the same series, and that is the Otherland series by Tad Williams. I'm just gonna hold the first book, but I have all 4, which is the complete series. I have read this first one. I actually did it on audio, and I enjoyed it, but I found myself almost wanting to reread this one when I was done. And while I normally enjoy audio, I almost feel like I didn't get everything out of the reading experience, so I kind of want to go back and physically read through all 4 of the books. This is an epic science fiction series that almost reads like fantasy, because a lot of the story takes place in virtual reality, and you get to go to some fantastical places there. In this world, you find out that people are falling into comas, and it's possibly getting blamed because of this virtual reality, and it's just a really epic story. Love it so much. I don't think you've seen my review of this first book yet, but again, I just kind of want to go back, reread through the whole series, and then give you a proper review once I have all of my feelings sorted out. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was just epic, and yeah, I'm very excited to have the full series, because when it comes to long books, those are the unread books that I really like to own, because I hate that feeling of being stressed out, rushing to finish a book because I need to return to the library. It's not a good feeling. Now let's talk fantasy. The first one I have here is Phoenix Extravagant by Yoon Ha Lee, which I received from Rebellion Publishing. This, of course, is the same author that wrote Nine Fox Gambit, that hard sci-fi series that I've been meaning to get into, but I'm honestly a little bit intimidated to try again. But this is definitely a good place for me to start, because I love the premise. It's about an artist who adds symbols to objects, which creates power, and I just think that magic system sounds really intriguing as a setup. And the author themselves is a trans person, and the main character in this book, as best I can tell, is non-binary, possibly trans themselves. I do have to read the book to find out more about that, but I love the diversity surrounding this book, and that plus cool magic system is definitely my kind of fantasy. So you will be getting a review. This one comes out in June, so stay tuned for that. I also picked up a copy of Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson at the same used book sale where I got the Otherland series. This was super cheap. I've already read it and I liked it, but I honestly didn't love it. But I kind of want to own all of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere books because they are interrelated. I like the idea that I'll be able to go back and revisit this one. And the cover was really nice. It was only $1 or $2, and yeah, I'm a sucker for cheap books. So that's it for this video, and you know the drill. I would love to hear your comments down below on which of the books you are most excited for, which one should I read and review for you. And I hope you're having a good March because I'm pre-filming this a few weeks early. Hopefully I am also having a good March because I need some stress-free time in my life. I need to chill and just get some good reading done. Hope you all are doing well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.